Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Comic Relief, the new weekly talk show for all things comics, comic cinema adaptations, and anything else that makes you want to get down and nerdy. We are your hosts. I am Xander.
And I am Jagger.
And we have our special guest, our good friend Husky, joining us tonight as we are talking about the biggest DC film to date, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I just want to lead that off with a big old
Just a nice
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Can I get a huh yeah in chat?
Oh yeah.
Snydercut. Yeah. No, you don't.
For Darkseid.
Okay, let me get a huh yeah for Darkseid.
Yeah, can we get a yeah for Darkseid, Husky?
Nope, I'm not doing it.
Come on. Do it for the anti-life equation.
There we go.
There it is.
There.
Round of
Oh,
applause.
Emily, what's going on? Welcome.
All right, so I definitely wanted to start off with getting everybody's overall impression of the film. Husky. Official impression of the film. Condensed down a little.
It is, if that's the movie that we get in 2017, in my opinion, the movie landscape of comic book movies drastically changes. Oh, so I would go toe to toe with anyone and say that is the best comic book movie ever written.
Wow.
Big words. Xander,
Wow.
what'd you think?
I think that this should have happened to begin with. This is the movie that we should have gotten in the first place. Speaking as a Marvel fan, this should have happened. There's no reason why executives should have kept this from happening. And I feel like if that had happened, we would only benefit from it, both as, you know, like me and Husky, we're both on either side of the spectrum. You know, DC, Marvel, you're the wild card, Mr. Image Comics over there. But no, I feel like it would have skyrocketed the platform for comic book movie adaptations. Like Marvel would have been like, yo, we gotta fucking step it up.
Yeah, I think they would have definitely felt a lot more threatened by DC.
Mhm.
I can see them definitely trying to pull out bigger budgets and some bigger moves.
Right.
To be able to counteract what Zack Snyder did with this film.
Yeah, absolutely. See, Emily here says, as a DC fangirl, I only want to hear good.
Oh,
I mean,
only hear good from me.
I say you only hear good from us. I only have a few
Mhm.
gripes about the movie, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I only have like a couple small things, but it's very
Yeah.
minuscule and
Yeah,
understandable
it's
too.
things I can totally get over, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the 4-hour runtime though? Do you think it was a little too long? You think they could have trimmed it down to like 3.5, 3:20? Or do you think every single minute needed to be in there?
So this is my thing with that. I've been hearing and I've been reading a lot of different stuff about that. I know people, you know people, both of you know people, everyone out there probably knows someone that has binge watched a TV show for at least 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Or binge watched, you know, Mandalorian, WandaVision,
Yeah.
all these different things. There's no difference between binge watching a TV show and then watching a 4-hour movie. The only difference is that there's no breaks with intros and outros. That's it. I think
Facts.
that do I think that scenes and stuff could have been removed and it would have been basically the same thing? Yes. Do I think that all the scenes needed to be in there? Not necessarily. However, every single scene in the movie had a reason for it being there. Right. And I one of the big ones that I heard was like, why did we have like the 15-minute intro of Bruce Wayne going over the mountain? That's just showing that like his plane landed or his helicopter landed or whatever it was. He couldn't get over the mountain. And it's showing how far he's willing to go to put this league together.
Yeah, that's how I saw it. I saw it as like his dedication to building the league, honestly.
Exactly. And so it's like
it's a
the
good way to
little
start.
things like that. So that's my thing. Is like
See, I just saw it as beautiful cinematography there.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah,
Is like
that too.
I think the people that complain about it being a 4-hour movie are like the same people that would sit down and watch the entire MCU in one whole go, or watch the entire first season of Big Bang Theory or Friends or whatever TV show this fucking they want to watch. it's the same people that are willing to sit down and watch that entire first series in one day, and then they're like, "Oh, a 4-hour movie can't do it."
Well,
I will say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once I will say this right off the bat, a 4-hour movie does seem a little daunting, versus binge watching a show. Because like when I think of binge watching a show, like the last show that I binge watched was New Girl. When I watch shows like that, I'm not actually like paying attention. I put it up on the screen, and then I go about doing other shit. Like I'm folding clothes, I'm cleaning the house, I'm just doing random shit. But I'm not really paying attention. When it comes to a movie, usually movie means you're gonna sit your ass down and you're gonna pay the fuck attention. You're not doing anything else. So someone with a very short attention span like me, when I hear 4-hour movie, I'm just like, I guess I'll try.
Yeah, my whole thing with it is the only difference I see in it is the pacing is different. Like pacings on a TV show, it's like you have a set amount of things that are going to happen in this 50-minute runtime, and you have like your beginning, middle, and end of each episode, and it's paced out that way. And the major overarching story is paced out to be revealed little bit by little bit. In some parts of the Snyder Cut, it felt like it was more paced to be a TV show, where it could have been a solid like series that they could have done. But Snyder did preface the release of the movie saying like, this is going to be long. I'm fitting a lot of stuff into this runtime. If I could have made it shorter, I would have, but everything has a purpose. Like you said, Husky, every scene has its purpose. And honestly, the way he built up the story, I wasn't bored. I expected to have parts where I was gonna be like, okay, that's enough backstory, let's get to the action. But it was like, you had Bruce Wayne walking over a mountain talking to Aquaman, and then you had Steppenwolf invading Themyscira. Then you had a little bit more backstory, and then they're fighting the Justice League again. Like it was a good balance between the two types of storytelling, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Where like, in fact, when I first started watching it, I didn't even realize how far we had gotten into it, and I'm like, because like any other like there've been hour-and-a-half long movies where I'm just like, oh my god, when is this gonna fucking end, you know? But the way that they built this story and how they executed it, I didn't even realize 4 hours had just passed.
Right. Yeah, so honestly, there are some things that we probably could have trimmed off. They said somebody actually sat down and did the math. 20% of the Zack Snyder Justice League is in slow motion.
Love it.
But that was 10%.
20%. Was it 10%?
Yeah, 10%. It was 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
It was like 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so 20 minutes of runtime in slow motion, but
Love
most of that, I would say like 90% of that is Flash in super speed. And that needs to be in slow motion, otherwise it's just not going to be entertaining. It's just going to be, okay, there's a red streak going across the screen, and what just happened?
There was something that I read today. Don't know if you guys have seen this yet or not. I was actually saving it for the podcast. WB wanted the Flash going back in time removed from the movie.
Yeah, no, I will say this right now. That was my absolute favorite part of the movie. My favorite scene of the entire movie. Flash turning back time to save the day. Also, by the way, I completely forgot the spoiler alert. Anyone joining right now, be warned, there are spoilers. So whoopsie daisy. If you didn't know, now you know.
Now you know. You've been warned.
But go on. WB was
they apparently there's not much more to it than that, but apparently Zach made it very clear that like that's a vital part of the movie. So, and apparently there's a lot of stuff that's come out recently where like WB was like, yeah, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, and Zach was like, yeah, fuck you, and just did it.
As he should have. They fucked him before. Like, why would he listen to them now and take their suggestions after seeing the dog shit pile that they released before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of that, that kind of leads into my next point. The major noticeable difference between the shit heap and the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Husky, you want to floor that one?
Oh, Jesus. I mean, there's so many drastic different changes, right? Like this isn't like
Mhm.
this is one of the things that like I don't think people fully get, or like they heard about it and they're like, oh, it's not going to be that much, it's basically going to be the same fucking movie and blah 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 blah, like all that
Mhm.
stuff, right? Like they completely removed all of Cyborg's
Yep.
story,
Yeah.
basically. They made him like just a random ass character. They made the Flash be a very motivated kind of, we see why he's doing everything, and focal point at the very ending of the movie into a comedy thing where like
Yeah.
it's just his whole thing was just nothing but comedy relief.
Mhm.
You see Batman turned into a joke when Batman is, you know, becoming the Batman that everyone knows, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
regaining his faith, you know, as he, you know, I have faith, Alfred, faith, you know, as he's walking onto the fucking plane at the end.
Yeah.
It's just like Steppenwolf going from the worst villain probably, along with and I'm talking in all of comic movies. What the hell was the guy's name from Thor 2?
You're
Malekith?
talking to the
Yeah,
you're talking to the Marvel guy here, and I'm just like, who?
yeah, that guy.
Malekith
right?
the Dark
Yeah,
Elf.
Malekith the Dark Elf. Yeah.
Oh my
that's-
god, he's
That's
awful.
kind of like where people put like the bottom, right, for villains, and Steppenwolf
Mhm.
is right there. And Zack Steppenwolf is arguably one of the best villains we've seen, because there's a rich backstory there that we don't fully understand, but he's also terrifying enough when he's on screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
And
he
it's just-
also they also showed so much emotion through Steppenwolf.
you-
Like,
there's
Mhm.
honestly scenes where you feel bad for him, because it's like you can tell that he fucked up. He did something wrong.
yeah,
We don't know what he did
Mhm.
wrong, but he fucked up. He did something wrong,
yeah.
and all he wants to do is go home,
Yeah.
but he can't.
And that's the thing that they were missing from Joss Whedon's version, was like there was no motivation for Steppenwolf. He was just like, okay, I want these mother boxes to do something that they never explain. I
Oh, yes,
noticed that as well.
mother.
They never
Mother,
explain.
Mm-hmm.
They never explain what the mother boxes do in Joss Whedon's Justice League. Like,
Mm.
they're just these mother boxes, and Steppenwolf wants them. Why? Who the fuck knows? And
Stop
he's
asking
just kind of
questions.
going about doing these things. Like, don't ask those questions. Laugh at this Flash joke.
Laugh
Mm-hmm.
at the Flash running into Wonder Woman and having his face in her boobs.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's one of the things that like I know me and Xander talked about it. Like for instance, Wonder Woman. Joss Whedon over sexualized Wonder Woman so fucking much.
Mhm.
It was unreal. And then
Sickening.
you look at the way that Zack like he basically, you know, had the character like, you know, show off the sexual, you know, the sexualness of the character. It's very subtle, it's very powerful, and it's like it's strong.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's a strong female role.
Yeah, we can admit that she had a sex appeal to her, but it was like a badass kind of like step on me kind of thing. you
Oh, yeah, I
know?
mean,
Okay, that's.
And it's like, well,
I think that's a conversation for another
yeah,
podcast.
that's a different. That's my podcast
Hold
right
up.
there.
That's your podcast?
Yeah, that's my mind. No, but like for instance, like there's one scene in it, and like this one scene will kind of shows a little bit of the whole fucking difference. Is Steppenwolf's like, you know, this one's mine, and she's like, no one owns me. And it goes
Yeah.
back to the whole like the very subtle feminism thing that I think that Zack Snyder and like even Patty Jenkins to an extent have done a really good job of, where it's like you don't have to overly state something like that. Just a little line like that shows a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I agree.
But no, this like it's one of those things. We could honestly have a full fucking podcast on just the differences, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
tonally. I mean, you turn Lois
I mean,
Lane
even the color
from-
correction.
Oh yeah, color correction. Like from overly bright to it's bright when it needs to be,
Mhm.
but it looks realistic all
Absolutely.
the time. You know, then we have Lois Lane going from Thirst Trap in Justice League to
Mhm.
you know, you see her grieving still. It's
Yeah.
been like I think I read somewhere it was like 3 months after.
Yeah.
She's grieving.
it wasn't
She
very
has
long.
she has his cape. She hasn't gone to fucking work.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like it's like there was so many
Which
little things
in the
to-
Justice League she was already back to work, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
She was already back to work, and like there's the scene where like Martha goes to see her and they talk about like guys. Like, oh, have you found anyone new? Like, oh, you know, you getting anything? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like that was a full Joss Whedon thing. And it's like, for fuck's sake, man, like I don't like I said, there's so much that we could fucking bring up. I mean, not including Darkseid.
Yeah,
No,
the,
not
the inclusion of Darkseid from the original movie was probably the worst mistake they ever made.
I mean, think about it like this now, right? Because all three of us have seen this. Some of the viewers have seen this. If you haven't, I don't know why you're watching right now. Go watch the movie.
Yeah.
But like,
Facts.
think about biggest change. Think about the history lesson.
Oh my god.
How does it make any sense that that's Steppenwolf instead of Euxis?
Yeah, like
It
what?
doesn't make sense at all.
Well, I remember seeing the Justice League. I was like, this no, it just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much that it just, you could tell that Joss didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. He was still writing his grief of Age of Ultron because Disney stomped on his nuts.
Yeah, and he had said that, like, apparently on set, like, he was, like, you know, repeating stuff that he did in Age of Ultron, and he's like, well, it worked once, and, like, I guess Ray Fisher at one point said something to him about, like, you know, his lines or something, and he's like, look, I don't take shit from Robert Downey Jr. You think I'm going to take shit from you? Or something like that, and it's like,
yeah.
Just,
yeah.
Like, your ego can't be that big. You had one hit cult show back in, like, the early 2000s, and you think you're God all of a sudden. It's like, okay, you directed the first Avengers movie, but it wasn't good.
Well, the first Avengers was good enough, and then
it was good enough for when it came out.
And then he did Age of Ultron, and then that's when Disney was like, all right, we're done with this guy.
Well, also think about it like this, right? As well, I feel this is just a personal thing, a personal opinion. No matter what, Avengers was going to be a hit because it was the first time anything like that ever fucking happened.
Yeah, good point.
No matter what, that was going to be a hit.
Right.
Yeah, but when you compare what they did with Avengers tonally to what, say, the Russo brothers did with just Civil War, the tone in those two movies is totally different, and it was basically the same exact concept with different characters.
Yeah.
True.
And you can just see the difference, and like you can tell that Joss Whedon botched it, but it was good enough because it was like, okay, we got them together. We can go from here. We'll do a couple more solo films. We'll try it again. Okay, you fucked up, Joss. We're going to go a different direction. Let's bring in the Russo brothers. And that's when the MCU really took that like mainstream rocket forward.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that if Snyder had been allowed to release this in 2017, he would have been right there beside him.
Yeah.
Running step for step.
Absolutely. It would have been amazing as comic book fans because we're sitting there. All right, so this is Marvel's next move. All right, let's see what's DC's next move. Oh shit, they just did that, and then DC's following up with this. Oh fuck, and then all of a sudden they do that, and then Marvel's like, oh wait, hold my beer. Here's this, and then we're just over here, just like, oh my god, this is all amazing, you know.
And I'm still waiting for the new Spawn movie.
Meanwhile, Mr. Image Comics over
Mr. Me, I'm just like, okay, Todd McFarlane, let's go.
Here's another huge change. The music.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Bringing in Danny Elfman, who, let's be honest here, Danny Elfman has given us some great things, some great tones, some great music over the years. It's over now. Move the fuck on. And we did. And honestly, I'll say this right now. The what the hell is the name of it? Quick, let me find this. The music that plays when Flash goes into the Speed Force. I listen to that at least once a day now.
Oh yeah.
It's called.
You listen to it while you're on the treadmill.
At the speed of force. Yes, actually. I listen to it while I work out. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's called At the Speed of Force, and it is arguably one of the best. Like, there's no, in my opinion, there's no other music that fits a scene as well as that.
Yeah.
Because it's just so perfectly done, and so like there's not enough good things I can fucking say about this movie, man.
Yeah, I think
I don't think the studio realized that like the age of Danny Elfman style scores is gone. We're very much in the age of Hans Zimmer. Very dark, very tonal, emotional type scores, not this like we need fantastical violins and we need everything to feel heroic. And it's like, no, we want edgy orchestral type scores with a little bit of a twist. So bringing in having Hans Zimmer reprising his role as the composer, plus bringing in the talents of Junkie XL to remix it all, was phenomenal. It fit the tone of the movie so well, and it set the score for Justice League apart from every other DC or every other comic book film that's been done.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like tonally, it was along the same lines as the Joker movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that score, along with what was happening, is like I couldn't imagine it any other way. Right? It's like there's certain scenes, like for instance, like when the Joker's in the bathroom doing the dance the first time. If that music or any other music is playing in that scene, it completely fails. In my opinion.
It changes the scene entirely.
Yes, and I think it's the exact same thing with a lot of scenes in this movie.
I want to say, I think it was like the moment the music really hit for me, because I was like the entire time I'm like focused on, okay, so what are the differences in the story right here? But the moment the music really kicked in for me was the Wonder Woman scene, the bank scene. As soon as the terrorists are like walking up the steps and then the music kicks in, I'm like, oh, wait a second, this is different. This is different. This is much better.
Yeah. I think that was when I first noticed it. I think it really hit different for me when they're in the wind tunnels under Gotham Harbor.
Oh,
And-
really?
And
Yeah.
Steppenwolf grabs Silas Stone and Cyborg's just like, no, and the music kicks in. I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
oh man. It gave me chills. I'm not gonna lie to you. I
Yeah.
was excited. At that exact moment, I was just like, ooh.
Also, if anyone can find a downloadable copy of the Wonder Woman score, I need that for my new raid sound effect, as well as potentially my my alarm clock. That shit gets me going every single time.
Anytime Xander walks on screen.
Yep. Absolutely. I fucking love it.
It's great. It fits her feel so much better than most other themes. I mean, yeah, they did use it a lot. That was one of my grips about the movie. It was like anytime she did anything, you just had the
You had the ancient
chorus in the background.
Yeah, the ancient like Amazonian like
Yeah.
vocal chanting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually watch with subtitles, like we pretty much watch everything with subtitles nowadays. And it's so funny, it's just like every single time. Ancient lamentation. Ancient lamentation. I'm just like, yeah, we get it. We get it. You can just put chanting, just cut it down a little bit.
It could have, but ancient lamentation just sounds so much more eloquent.
Okay.
Well, we already touched on Cyborg's storyline. The fact that it made the movie make a whole lot more sense.
Oh yeah.
But
When it had so much heart as well. That was like one of the things that like, because like one of the things like I said like you guys know I watched with Dana, and of course she hasn't seen the first one, which she at first she was like, she asked, you know, don't get mad at me, I haven't seen the first one. I was like, honestly, it's probably better that you haven't.
well, that was the same when I watched it with Meg. She hadn't seen the original either,
So,
and I was
like-
explaining the differences. To her.
So there was scenes where I was just saying like they took this out or they didn't do this, and like she was like fully on board. She was like, why would you take this out? Like this makes no sense.
Yep, it was a similar watching experience.
Yeah, it's just it was absolutely crazy just seeing like I said, there's so much heart in that and all of the stuff that Ray Fisher did. Huge props to Ray Fisher for fucking sticking
Gosh,
to his
yeah.
guns and, you know, letting us know like, hey, look, they fucked up and it was a big fuck up, and now we watched it and it's like, yes, they big fucked up.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
fully realize the extent of how much they fucked up that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, going from this, like, how do you remove that entire scene of him listening to the message from his dad, and then him basically going into his cyborg, like into the worldwide net, seeing all the stuff that he can do, and the whole scene there with that mother.
Yeah. It really
How do
shows
you
his character too.
How do you remove that, man?
Right. Because in the original, he just kind of shows up and it's just like, yeah, he was made. We don't know what he can do. But yeah, he's going to join the Justice League now. And he can do everything that we need him to do. And you're just going to have to accept that. And there's no explanation for that whatsoever. There's
Yeah,
no
it was just
showing that he
shoehorning.
knows what the fuck he's doing. He just kind of shows up and it's just like, yeah, I'm a cyborg.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. Is like it showed him like, you know, like kind of experimenting, seeing that he can fly a little bit, that he can move around, he can do this and that, and it like it showed that off. And like I know I've said this with Jagger a couple times, but like the very like ending thing where it's, you know, it's like, I'm not broken, and I'm not alone. Just
Oh my
that
God.
line by itself, if you listen to the way that he says, if you listen to the way that he says it, it's very sincere with the I'm not broken, but the I'm not alone has some aggression and kind of a little bit of like, like fuck you to it.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of the whole movie. That one singular line. It was just.
Just the way that he
got
says
me.
it. It's.
I mean, that
delivers
goes
so
along with a
well.
lot of like impactful moments that they just completely ripped out of the movie, like something so small as like the little girl in the bank scene at the very end.
Yep.
And she's like, can I be like you one day? Like that for me, I broke down for a hot second. I was like, yeah, you can definitely be like I'm just like. It speaks volumes. It's so powerful. It shows that that these heroes are not just people in tights and capes and doing random shit. These are actual role models for these people.
Exactly.
I think one of my favorite scenes that they took out, that I feel like should have definitely been in the original, was Barry's scene with Iris. Like showing the difference. Like the scene starts, the crash happens, he turns, his shoes are obliterated just from him turning on his heels.
Yep.
But then you see him speed out, shatter the glass, and the care he takes to not hurt her by moving her, because he knows the power of the speed force that he holds. The speed at which he moves her is very intentional, because it shows that like Barry's like, okay, don't hurt her, don't go too fast, you'll burn her skin, be careful with her, you love her. Sets her down on the ground, and then his sudden realization that he's been so caught up in this moment that it's like, oh shit, I just did that with no mask, I gotta go, and then bolts out. I love that scene. It encompasses everything that the Flash is supposed to be right there in that exact moment. Like he immediately leaps into action without even thinking. Like he turns on his heels and he's gone.
Yeah.
And then immediately when he realizes like, oh crap, my identity, I'm back. And then he was still funny. Like he wasn't reduced to just comic relief, but he.
That's it. That's the show.
Yeah, that's the show. He did it. He said the name.
He said the thing. He said the thing.
Roll credits.
Yep. There we go.
But yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. I like the fact that you can have more depth of character while still retaining that comic relief just goes to show how much of a better storyteller Zack Snyder is.
Exactly.
True.
So, my next point that I wanted to get into: what other movies or series do you think this could potentially spawn, despite WB's announcements?
The first one is obviously Justice League 2, primarily seen in the Nightmare sequence.
Right.
That was kind of always, I guess, the idea, and I could see him doing it. And it's already, that just sounds incredible. Then immediately after that, let's go to the Batman movie, where Joe Manganiello recently just announced let out a bunch of new information about that. So it's going to be very Arkham style between the two of them. There's no Mirakuru in Deathstroke. Deathstroke is just a trained assassin.
Yeah.
Okay.
They both are trained by the League of Assassins. And basically, at the end of the movie, when we find out that, hey, Lex knows his name, but now so does Slade Wilson, that's because Batman is somehow involved in the death of Slade's son.
Right.
So Slade is going to go on a warpath, and Slade destroys Bruce's finances. There was one thing saying that he may either kill or put Alfred in the hospital. And supposedly there was going to be a scene towards the end of the movie where they're fighting and Deathstroke is winning because Deathstroke is faster and one of the better fighting minds in the DC universe. And Batgirl shows up.
Oh.
And that's how we're introduced to Batgirl. And then Batgirl supposedly was going to have her own thing where Commissioner Gordon is now going to step down and she's going to take the place of it. And this would have been after Batman's supposed death later on, and she would take up the mantle of Batman for a little bit until Lois and Clark's son grows up and becomes Batman. So
That's
like
an interesting
that,
take on the story.
exactly. So there's that whole thing right there. Then we have Riyadh, not Riyadh. We have the Atom.
The Atom.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Which
Zack
I was
Snyder,
super excited for.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder pushed it originally. As soon as he put the character in, Zack pushed it. All Chinese cast, have it set so he goes home, something happens, like that sort of thing. And they were like, yeah, okay, whatever.
See just a quick like side note, like that I feel kind of backs up Ray Fisher's claims that Joss Whedon was very racist.
Yes.
And made very, very racist remarks because okay, so first off, Ray Fisher, an actor of color, his entire story arc is basically wiped from the movie. And then you have the Atom, I forget his name in the movie, but you have the Atom, who is a Chinese American actor. Actually, I think he was just Chinese. But his character was completely cut from the movie. You like in the Justice League, he did not exist whatsoever.
Same thing with Cyborg's friend, the waitress. She was a Hispanic American actress. Her
Okay,
role
there
was
you go.
completely cut from the movie.
Ryan Choi.
Yeah. Ryan Choi, there you
Ryan
go.
Choi.
But I mean, and like what makes it even more aggravating is put yourself in those actors' shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like you go through all that work, all that, everything that you did was, for this movie, and you're super excited that you're in this project, right? Only to find out that it was completely cut.
Oh, yeah,
Think of all that fucking time wasted that you could have been doing something else. You could have been working on something else.
Or like the waitress there. She tweeted out on the day of the release of the Snyder Cut. She tweeted out, "Hey guys, I just want to ask, like, am I in this movie? Because my role was cut in the original one."
That's so infuriating.
She got like overwhelming responses like, "Yeah, you're in it.
Yeah.
You were amazing. You were phenomenal. You played the character so well. I mean, it's a small part, but like still, it makes the Cyborg character that much better."
Yeah, it plays an integral role in everything else. It's one of those great movies where everything truly is connected. Like there's maybe a couple things maybe that could have been left out, but very, very minimal. Like everything had a purpose.
Yep. Everything was intentionally added in there to either invoke some kind of emotion or progress the story along in a way that makes you see everyone's purpose.
Right.
In
like
the grander scheme of things.
And even some of the stuff that was added was like just very subtle little things. Like for instance, right? Like we already know what Flash movie we're getting now, right? We're getting the multiverse Flash. But for instance, like you get that little line of, oh yeah, I know, I'm kind of proficient in Gorilla Sign Language.
Yeah, the little nod to Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah,
exactly. If the Flash director wanted to take that role, now he could because of that one little line.
Yep.
And they set up a lot of different things like that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When he said I'm fluent in sign language, Gorilla Sign Language, I did the whole Leo pointing at the screen thing. Gorilla Grodd. So I was so hype about that. It was the first thing I noticed because the music changed at that point too. You heard like Congo drums in the background of it too, and I was just like, oh my god, that was so subtle, but it was so amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, the subtleties were just amazing.
Yeah.
But now other things that could become off this. I mean, honestly, you could even just say Aquaman's was. I mean, I've read online a few different things that the original kind of Aquaman after the Snyder Cut was supposed to be a little bit different. But I mean, like that movie, like Aquaman says, like, "Hey, I'm gonna go see my father."
Yeah.
And it picks, and like Aquaman, I mean, Jason Momoa even said like our movie picks up immediately after Zack Snyder's movie.
Yeah, and it makes more sense. Like that one little bit of scene that they added with Jason Momoa is like, I gotta go see my father. I'm like, okay, well that explains exactly why Aquaman just picks up with him as his father. Like when I first watched Aquaman, I didn't know where it fit in the timeline, and now I realize that it picks up directly after Justice League.
No.
Something like,
I will say this on when we first see Aquaman and Volko, I was a little bit confused, and it's been a while since I've seen Aquaman, but isn't the whole Aquaman movie about him trying to locate the Trident of Atlantis? And then in the Snyder Cut, He's just right there
No,
with
so
Volko? Or
no, so he has to try and unite the people, and one of the ways that he can do it is if he gets the Trident of Atlan, and the Trident of Atlan is the trident that will unite the people, like that sort of thing.
okay.
Whereas when he's floating and he's looking at the statue of Atlan, there
Mhm.
he's holding the trident, like the statue version of the trident.
Oh, okay.
So that's that. The interesting thing, and I don't know if you guys picked it up or not, Zack Snyder wasn't 100% sure how he was going to do the sounds for Atlantis and the Atlanteans and everything. So
Mhm.
when they're underwater, you heard them just kind of chirping and like dolphin noising. And that's
Yeah.
because he thought that was something that it would do, because it's an easier way to communicate. And it goes kind of back to like almost like the tribes and like some tribes in like Africa or in the jungles,
Yeah.
where they use a lot of the TikTok, like that sort of thing. So that's what he did, and then the bubble was so then they could speak English, or if they were like,
Oh,
and that was a
okay,
very
yeah.
subtle thing. So in the movie, you notice it, like I noticed it, and I was immediately like, oh shit, like I completely forgot that was a thing that he was gonna do.
Yep.
I didn't even think about that.
But
Wow.
Cyborg movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I want the Cyborg movie. No matter what,
Right.
I want that to be a thing.
Right now. So do you guys remember? I'm gonna fuck this guy's name up, and I feel bad. Rick Famuyiwa. Rick Famuyiwa. I think. Okay. He was supposed to do the Flash movie, and then I was like, you remember how like they announced like BVS, and then they had the whole line of movies after that.
Yeah.
He was originally that was the Flash director, and then there was a big conflict that happened.
Oh,
Obviously, it
yeah.
was probably because of he's a person of color, and everything else that happened. Ray Fisher wants him and wants to do a movie.
Ooh.
They should. They should 100%.
They should definitely do that.
Honestly. I mean, I wasn't gonna bring it up till later, but the possibility of Snyder opening up his own studio kind of leads the way to that. Like him, supposedly him and Christopher Nolan were talking about opening up their own studio to handle more DC film properties and other art house type films that they want to do.
I'm all for that.
I mean,
And
They shouldn't
recently-
have to bend the knee to fucking Warner Brothers.
No, they shouldn't. Another director that just recently signed on with that is David Ayer, because now there's news coming out about Ayer. The version of Suicide Squad that we got is not Ayer's cut of the movie.
Yeah.
They recut it in post-production, and then they redubbed over certain scenes.
Yeah, and then also they completely changed the original script as well.
Yeah, he said the movie that you see is not my script. That is not the movie that I wanted to make.
Because
with Zack Snyder taking his stand, a lot of directors are starting to feel like they should be able to take their stand as well, which is phenomenal. Give creative control back to the directors, not the studio heads who think they're going to make more money. The directors have a vision, they're artists for a reason.
Yeah.
They get signed on to these movies and they write these movies a certain way for a reason.
Yeah. And it's like, so for the Ayer cut, he worked very closely with Zack.
Yeah.
On it. So instead of it being like, all me and my brother are going to take over the world or to destroy the world, no, it was actually Enchantress being controlled by a mother box.
Given to her by Steppenwolf.
Given to her by Steppenwolf, and instead of the like weird bug-eyed monsters, those were supposed to be like parademons.
Yep.
Like
And
that was our introduction to Steppenwolf. That was what it was going to be, and they were like, nope.
And they changed that because of all the issues they were supposedly having with Zack Snyder. They were like, no, we can't connect this with Justice League in case Justice League fails. We want Suicide Squad to still be, we want
a standalone thing,
to still be a standalone thing and be successful. But they ended up shooting themselves in the foot by not tying it in together. Because I mean, even if, granted, even if Justice League had failed, so say we never got the Snyder Cut, but Ayer got to do his version of Suicide Squad with Steppenwolf in it, with the parademons. Honestly, I think it would have made Suicide Squad better than the Justice League.
Yeah.
And
then the end result of that would the viewers at least still have some kind of cohesiveness, because I think the biggest problem that DC had up until, I mean, it's still kind of a problem right now, because I mean the Snyder Cut is still it feels more standalone than ever before because nothing else kind of really ties in the way it should have because of Warner Brothers. But at least then there'd be something to connect things. Like you said earlier, like when Aquaman came out, you weren't sure exactly where that fits in the current timeline. Just like with every other movie, like you gotta fucking Google that shit, you know? And it's like, okay, so where does this fucking take place? You know? And that just shows that poor storytelling, thanks to the fucking studio. And there's nothing to, you know, keep viewers engaged in the grander scheme of things.
Right. I don't know. I'm hopeful that the Snyder Cut's gonna bring some shit back around. Husky, what do you think? You think that the Snyder Cut success is gonna reignite the DC cinematic universe?
I mean, it's tough to say, especially after what we found out from can't think of her name.
It's like Anna something.
Yeah. Since she came out and said like, look, it's over, that's it, you know, we're moving on, sort of thing. We're moving on with the rest of the properties and the rest of the multiverse, sort of thing. You know, it's just kind of. I said it before. I find it hard to believe that this is it. You see all of the stuff that they're putting into it. You see all the new merch. You see all the new, like, the Funko Pops, all the marketing, all of this, all of the positive reviews. It's like almost unanimously positively reviewed. Even the people that are like, oh, it was too long, still after that say it was a really good movie, though.
Well, it's also the first DC Comics movie to get a mostly positive review on Rotten Tomatoes in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, mind you, I don't really care about Rotten Tomatoes, but
but I mean, still, for the people that do, it scored higher than any other DC property that exists.
It's like it's one of those things where it's like, at this point, seeing what they're saying, it's like, okay, are you really that ego driven? Because we're not saying, this is the thing, like, right, as the DC, like, just straight up DC fanboy of the group, we as a, like, basically as a community are not saying scrap all the rest of the stuff you have and just give us Zack Snyder stuff. What we're saying is we want all that stuff and we want the Zack stuff brought back.
Give us
It's very easy to tie Shazam in now. It's very easy to tie Aquaman in. It's very easy to tie Wonder Woman in. It's very easy to tie all this stuff in, and that's all we're asking. We already know the Banson's on a different world, right?
Yeah, we've established that it's a different multiverse. Exactly.
You put in the new Superman reboot or whatever the hell it's going to be that basically felt like them trying to take away limelight, right? That can be on that world with Banson.
Yeah. Do and that. Start like, your own little multiverse thing, but let Snyder do his thing because the fans want it. Like, it's gonna make them money, so why not do it? What's the harm in saying, okay, yeah, we did fuck up by releasing the original 2017?
That's the harm. That's the harm right there. They have to admit that they fucked up.
But honestly, I think they would gain so much more favor with fans if they just said, okay, yeah, we fucked up. Let's continue with this and make it all like a cohesive storyline. Like, expand on this multiverse. The thing with DC's multiverse is it's so chaotic and so big. It's very different from Marvel's multiverse. Marvel's multiverse is very like web work, but DC's multiverse is like an infinite spiral of Earths that exist all at once, and they can do anything they want. It doesn't matter like what timeline it goes into. Like, Snyder can have his universe, and CW can continue their universe, and Batman can have his own universe. Like,
and that's kind of the thing, right? It's like we as like I said, we're not trying to get the Zack Snyder stuff put over everything else. That's not what we're asking for.
Right.
What we're asking for is to bring back all this great stuff that he wanted to do. I mean, just the pure fact of like, if you say, you know, like if you just tell anyone, right, we're going to do a Batman movie as Batfleck, as Joe Manganiello, as Deathstroke. It's also going to have Joker in it a little bit. It's going to be in the same vein of the Arkham games. It doesn't matter who the person is. Most likely they're going to be like, okay,
I'll see it.
I'm interested now.
Yeah.
Right? And it's one of those things, like, it doesn't make sense. It really does feel like an ego-driven thing, and there was something I'm trying to see if I can find it right now. I thought I liked it, but apparently I didn't. there's a lot of rumors going around right now that there's actually like almost like a war going on inside of Warner Brothers and like everything, because like
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Warner Brothers doesn't want the Snyder stuff to succeed. HBO Max is 100% like they love that it's succeeding, and like there's an internal struggle going on between the two.
And the thing is as big as Warner Brother is, the backers behind HBO are that much bigger that I think they could edge out Warner Brothers. I feel like if it comes to blows in terms of like who has the more financial backing or who has the more influence, I think AT&T and HBO are just gonna take Warner Brothers by the hand and say, look, listen, sit down, let's make you some money. We'll show you how the big dogs play. Let us handle this, and then Warner Brothers can kind of take their back seat, do their thing, and rake in a little bit of the side revenue that brushes off of HBO and their success. Because if they continue to do, even if they continue to make it so that all of Snyder's stuff is exclusive to HBO Max, it's going to succeed.
Oh yeah. I mean, so here's one. I found one that I did remember to like. So this is for the people out there that think like we're being very either skeptical or harsh or on Warner Brothers for what we're saying, right? They re-released Batman vs Superman on 4K. They re-released it 5 years after it came out. In 2 days, it is sold out on Amazon, Target, and Best Buy, which are the 3 biggest realtors in the entire world for movies. And it's sold out in 2 days. A 5-year-old movie
that didn't receive good reviews.
Yeah.
A lot of people said that Batman vs Superman was bad, and a lot of people still hold that idea that like Batman vs Superman is a bad movie. It had so many things wrong with it. I personally think it's an amazing film, but that's just my personal opinion. I enjoy it. The original release I didn't like. The Ultimate Edition was definitely a lot better, a lot clearer for me. But like, if a movie that wasn't critically acclaimed and didn't receive good reviews from the audience, if it could sell out in a matter of days on the biggest retailers, shouldn't that tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think they would look at that kind of revenue coming in from just a re-release of, like you said, a 5-year-old movie. Because that shit doesn't even happen for, like, cult classic films. Like, if we got a re-release of The Fifth Element, there's nowhere near that it would sell out, but almost everyone can agree that The Fifth Element is a classic movie.
Yeah.
But it's not going to sell out in a matter of days like that. I don't think there's any other cult following that it would happen that drastically and that dramatically for.
It's like I've said, I've gone on record. I'm not a big definite, right? I'm not going to give a definite like yes 100% or anything like that. I find it hard to believe that we don't get more.
Yeah. I want more. I definitely want more.
I just find it hard to believe with how well it's done. I mean, like, and that's the thing. They are refusing to give us the numbers.
Yeah.
They're giving us the numbers. They're giving us the numbers as like in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or like from the weekend, not even the day of release, from the weekend. They are refusing to give us the day of release numbers. And that should say a whole lot about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that numbers scare them.
Well, it has to. It 100% has to. I mean, just between us, we watched it 4 times on the day it released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as like I had my buddy Rob watch it. Like the numbers have to be stupid.
Yeah.
Like it
and
has
that's
to be.
I mean, we have at least probably mid double digit numbers just in our circle of friends alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like I've seen it twice already. I know you've seen it at least 3 times already, Husky. Xander's seen it.
I've seen it 3 times.
You've seen it 3 times. So
yep.
I mean, right there we're over 10. Counting Rob and Jeff that have probably both watched it. I think my parents might have watched it. Like, it's nuts.
Like I said,
it's one of those things where I feel like they could easily take a note out of like Disney and Sony's book. Disney and Sony realize, okay, so the fans are clamoring to have Spider-Man involved in the MCU. All right, so let's drop this whole power move of who owns fucking Spider-Man and work out a deal.
Yeah. And that was the
Warner
smartest
Brothers,
move that Sony did.
yeah, and Warner Brothers needs to do a similar thing, either that or just relinquish control.
Yeah. I mean, even if they kept their name on the properties and just kind of took it back to like, okay, we'll be that background studio, similar to how like 20th Century Fox was with the X-Men properties.
Mm-hmm.
It would end up probably a lot better depending on who's in control. But like basically 20th Century Fox just took their name and kind of set it on their thing. And the director who owned the studio that handled those movies, I can't remember who it was, Bryan Singer. Bryan Singer's company is the one that handled all of the creative control over the X-Men franchise. And it worked for them because Fox still made their money. Singer got to do what he wanted to do. Granted, it wasn't that great, but
I was about to say.
Poor example, but if Warner Bros could do the same thing with the DC things and Zack Snyder, I think it would go a whole lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, I find it hard to believe because it's one of those things. Tomorrow, I think it is tomorrow morning. I think at 9:11 a.m. or 10:11 a.m. I forgot which one it is. I'll have to refind it again. You know, someone put up on Twitter, and of course, there's always a reason behind the dates and the times and everything. But on Twitter, there's a Restore the Snyderverse movement.
Yeah,
and it was fun, and it was great because, of course, as we are old nerds, you know, we love our memes and everything. It was literally a picture of Darkseid, and it says, "Fine, then we'll use the old ways." And it was, you know, and it was like, okay, cool, yeah. So, and then I think it's this weekend at a certain time, everyone watches the movie. Like we're going to like there's like basically a movement to try and shut HBO Max down.
Just overloading the server.
Just to prove a point. Just to prove the point that like, look, like we want this. We're basically begging you to give us something that we will pay you money to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I paid for an entire other subscription service that I did not need just for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just think how many other people out there who did the same thing.
Yep.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is like that's the other one is that like there's a big thing as well with people being like, oh well, you know, if they're not gonna give us this, then cancel your HBO Max subscription. No. Keep that bitch. Keep it. And every time, like for the next like month, every time a movie gets released, watch the Justice League that day instead, and then watch that movie the movie that gets released a couple days later.
Yeah.
To make a point. Because it's one of those things, if a brand new movie gets released, but the Snyder Cut is like performing better than that is the day of that release, like at that point it's numbers.
Yeah.
You can't
which at this point, that's all a company really cares about is the numbers.
That and apparently their ego.
Well, that's the thing is like we said, they're scared of releasing the numbers for day one. Imagine how bad it's going to be when they're scared to release the numbers when a brand new movie comes out and it underperforms because of the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think that's a double-edged sword because I mean, you'll get properties that kind of need the attention, and there's going to be people who are refusing to give that the credit where the movie is due.
Yeah, I feel that.
Oh, agreed. So like for instance, like because I know me and Jagger, I know we've talked about this, like Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla Kong. God, which way they worded it. I'm not watching that for a week. The day that comes out, I'm watching the Snyder Cut.
The day it comes Godzilla.
Yeah, no, the day it comes out, I'm watching.
See, I feel the same way about Mortal Kombat that Jagger feels about Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing there. I want to watch the Snyder Cut when that releases. I'll watch that movie a week later. I'm fine with watching it a week later. I'm fine watching both of them a week later. You know.
I don't know. I feel like that's going to be detrimental to other parts of the movie scene, where like other because I mean, let's take Xander's example, the Mortal Kombat movie. Like they've fought tooth and nail to keep that movie vision the way it is, and the director has done a phenomenal job of keeping his casting choices, keeping a lot of the Asian American influences authentic, not making it cheesy and campy, and giving good representation in our society. And to take away from that to prove a point for Zack Snyder, it kind of feels like a double-edged sword.
But this is the thing, though, is like it's still getting the view. I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. I'm still going to watch it. I'm just not watching it on opening weekend.
Okay, but also they judge the success of a film by opening weekend, as you just said with Justice League.
They do, but they don't, because Justice League overperformed and they didn't give us a new one. Wonder Woman 84 underperformed and we're getting a third one. Immediately, day 3, they announced Wonder Woman 3 is happening.
So it's essentially like they have their plan. They have this plan, and they're like, all right, you know, we're gonna do this, and no one's gonna tell me otherwise. Good job. You probably have the maturity of a 3-year-old, because guess what? My daughter is 4, and she understands better than that. All right, all right. Yeah, I understand you have a plan, but hey, guess what? People don't fucking like it. All right, people would rather it go route B. All right, so let's go B. No, I want it done this way. Well, you know what? Go fuck yourself. You hear that, Warner Brothers? Go fuck yourself.
You heard it here first, Warner Brothers.
We've been skirting around it. You know, we've mentioned it, but I'm just gonna sit here and say right off the bat, Warner Brothers, go fuck yourself. Okay, you're shooting yourself in the goddamn foot by not listening to the fans, not listening to the consumer. Okay, listen to the consumer, and guess what? You're gonna make more money.
While we're on that route, fuck Joss Whedon. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a fucking dirtbag.
Well, I mean, and this goes to show you, right here. I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I just saw something. Jesus Christ. This is
sorry. That worked up a thirst. I had to grab a drink real quick. Hold on.
Oh. So this will show
brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Not really.
Not a sponsor, unless.
Not a sponsor. Big sponsor.
Yeah.
So apparently, CRC, Monica Jackson, and Rudy Mancuso have joined the cast of The Flash.
Why do I recognize that name? I gotta search this up. Rudy Mancuso.
Oh, Rudy Mancuso, because he's a Vine guy.
Oh, that guy.
So like,
there's that guy's fucking hilarious. Wait, he's in the Flash movie?
Yes.
No, he needs to stay. He needs to stay on social media.
And we have Supergirl in it, and we have a new freaking dad. We have a new Henry Allen in it. We potentially might not have Clooney in it. And
I will say this: when I sent you that thing about Ron Livingston being announced as the new father.
I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, because originally, what was it? What was the reasoning? They're just scheduling issues.
Yeah, scheduling issues, and it's because the Flash already has so many scheduling issues that they were like, okay, we're gonna recast the role then. Like, I
don't they understand good things happen to those who wait?
Clearly,
it fucking hurts being a DC fan, man.
I know.
Like, this is the thing, is like, I want to see this universe thrive. I have not enjoyed a lot of the movies that have been done trying to mimic other studios. When we do what we do best, the 2 best movies that we have, DC in total every fucking thing, from the CW verse to the animated to the fucking TV shows on HBO Max, Joker, Snydercut. Both of them have a very unique fucking style. They have a very gritty, dark, realistic look to them. That's what we fucking do. Stop trying to be like everyone else. Embrace that. If they just were to fucking embrace that, it's over.
Yeah.
Let the directors do what the fuck they want to do.
Because if you look at the MCU is currently dominating the superhero genre of movies. I will say that the superhero movies are their own genre. And when DC comes in trying to do the same shit, people are getting sick of it. Like, as a Marvel fan, I've grown to expect that from Marvel. Which is why I will say Winter Soldier was probably one of my favorite Marvel movies, even now, because it was so different than everything else that they were putting out at the time. And so when you have one whole franchise that is, this is their basic, you know, recipe for movies, and then you have a completely different franchise come in doing the same shit, what are people going to expect? Oh, they're just copying Marvel. Oh, it's the same shit. No, people don't want to see the same shit from a different franchise. When you see a different franchise, they want something new. Give them something new. That's why Joker did so well. That's why Snydercut is so great.
Well, that's the thing. It's like if Warner Brothers would actually embrace that and realize that they could get a whole new side of superhero films, it opens the door for so many other directors that could come in and do these kind of things. I mean, you not only have Zack Snyder and David Ayer, but you could open the door for people like David Fincher and hell, even Quentin Tarantino. If I saw Tarantino do a DC movie, I'd be thrilled.
Holy shit! Imagine that.
Well, I mean,
imagine.
I'll fucking throw another one at you. We were supposed to have a Guillermo del Toro fucking Justice League Dark movie.
Yep.
I
was excited for that one.
That would have been amazing.
I'm gonna throw this one out there. Quentin Tarantino doing a Lobo movie.
No, I don't like Tarantino, so I'm already out of this one.
I think that would have been awesome. Did you not like? You didn't like Inglourious Bastards?
I don't like his style movie.
Golami.
He is an acquired taste for people. Tarantino is a very different director. He's very out of the box, and you either like him or you hate him. There is no in between. It's not like, oh, I kind of like Tarantino. There are no kind of Tarantino fans. It's you either love him or you hate him. It's just how it is. Unfortunately,
I give you this. So, one of the big companies right now in horror films. I'll give you this one. Ari Aster from A24 for a Swamp Thing movie.
I could be down with that.
Ari Aster, he did what was it? Midsummer Hereditary.
Yeah.
Like those.
That would be such a surreal movie.
Imagine that for Swamp Thing.
Or imagine, like he said, Guillermo del Toro doing Justice League Dark. Give me Blumhouse doing a Constantine movie.
Oh my God.
The door would open. Subletting out these franchises to be under a WB umbrella would be legendary. It would be such a new thing that superhero films don't see, because then you'll have subgenres of superhero films that are just for everybody. Like the only difference like Marvel has right now is the MCU and Deadpool. Not everybody's going to watch Deadpool because it's a lot more mature than the others, but those are your two sides of it. So you have 2 movies versus like 32 movies and a couple shows. There's not a lot of diversity there. If DC were to open up and see how diverse the comic source material is alone, because you can dive into horror with like Swamp Thing, Doom Patrol, Constantine, Justice League Dark, and you have the little bit brighter things like Captain Atom and Shazam. It's a little bit brighter, but it still has that edgy feel to it. Booster Gold, The Ray. And maybe if you want to get into the more cultural type comics, you can get into stuff like Vixen. The possibilities are endless with DC, but WB doesn't see that. They just see, oh, well, we're not doing as good as Marvel, so we need to do what they're doing because they're making money and we're not. And it's like, okay, do something fucking different, and you might make some money.
Yeah.
That was my rant for the evening.
It's amazing.
We all had one.
Yeah. Mine's just a big fuck you to Warner Brothers.
Yeah, fuck you, Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Don't worry. If it comes down to it, I'll be the one. I'll have like stakes taped to my back and just fucking nunchucks, and I'm just going down swinging.
All right.
Throw a wooden stake right at the fucking CEO.
Xander, did you have any other points that you wanted to go over?
I wanted to touch on the nightmare scene.
Okay.
Because that was our first interaction of Batfleck and Jared Leto's Joker.
Oh yeah, that's right. I glanced completely over that.
Yeah, let's hear Husky's, the resident DC man.
Yeah, that is the best Joker Batman interaction we have seen in cinema.
Oh.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's so especially when you think of the stakes and what's happening, because that's the big thing a lot of people don't do, is they don't think about the actual universe. And I've said this before, if you were to put Heath Ledger's fucking Joker in Batfleck's universe, Batfleck fucking murder him. If you put Batman in Jared Leto's Joker in the same universe, that Joker's going to fucking destroy him. It's each thing is made for that universe itself. Those two going head to head was the greatest thing. The fact that, and it's a very subtle line because he says it really quickly. He calls him Batman to start, and then he calls him Bruce.
Yep.
He knows that he's who his real identity is. And then it's like, the jab at the Boy Wonder, the Boy Wonder jab, and then you have while Harley Quinn is dying in my arms, we learned so much in that scene just from that little interaction. There's like, you learn everything that's happened. It's like, okay, well, you know that it's Joker's killed Robin and Harley Quinn's dead, and like there's so much information in just that one exchange. It was nuts. And it was and I've said this before, I think that Leto gets a bad rep because it's the first time in a movie where Suicide Squad, for instance, is the first time in a movie or even TV show where the Joker is a side villain and not the main villain.
Right.
So I've always felt like he's gotten a bad rep. In this movie, it showed that he got a bad rep.
Yeah.
Like
also hearing that Ayer's cut or the Ayer cut of the movie shows the Joker in a different light than what they showed in the actual theatrical release has me curious as to how different it actually is.
So there's one scene that I know 100% for a fact because I remember reading it and immediately I was like, that's the greatest fucking thing I've ever heard. So in the scene where he's in the room surrounded by the knives, the guns, and the baby clothes and everything, there originally was a dead person in the background, and the dead person in the background looked like Harley. Which adds the effect of he was like basically like he's trying to replace Harley because he doesn't know where she is, that sort of thing, and that's not Harley, so I'm just gonna fucking kill her because doesn't matter.
Yeah, that changes so much of that scene.
It does. It adds another layer to it. There's the scene when Tattoo Face, I don't think that's his name.
Diablo.
No, not Diablo. It's the one that in
Common?
a club. Yeah, the one that Common plays. The Joker and Harley Quinn talk him into killing himself. The Joker doesn't kill him. They talk him into killing himself.
Right.
Oh wow.
Like that adds a whole nother layer to the thing. And I love that Zach did it. Zach's biggest reason for he originally wanted to do it and he couldn't get them together, so he went out and filmed it. And he said that the fans deserve to see a Batfleck Leto Loker interaction. We deserve to fucking see it, and we have seen it, and it's terrifying and incredible all at the same time.
I think the great thing about that is Jared Leto and Ben Affleck didn't get paid for doing that. They volunteered to shoot that scene.
Ben was doing something, and he got the call, and he just straight up and left.
Because I think it calls back to Ben Affleck. From what I remember back in the day, he was a huge comic book fan.
Yeah.
When he did those movies with Kevin Smith. He's had a really strong relationship with Kevin Smith, and they bonded over comics. So
Affleck like a motherfucker.
Yeah, so like when someone like Ben Affleck, like the original Batman film that was supposed to happen with him and Joe, I'm just gonna call him Joe M because I butcher that last name all the fucking time. But when they decided to just drop that completely, I'm just like, there's got to be something going on behind the scenes that they're not talking about for him to drop something like this, because I feel, based off of the Ben Affleck that I knew, as far as like from the Kevin Smith days, was that this would be like a fucking passion project for him, and for him to just drop it like that, it just didn't sit right.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
How bizarre.
But no, I mean, personally, I loved that scene. I loved everything about that fucking scene. The fact that like it gets to the point where like Batfleck is literally like, you know, like like when it was dying in my arms and she, you know, promised me to kill you, and you better fucking believe I'm going to kill you.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
was like,
just like
yo.
as soon as, and then the reaction from the Joker, kind of his hand starts shaking and you see it kind of like the deadness in his face and everything, but you see almost like it snaps, because up until that point you see that he's kind of dead, and then you see almost like it starts to break, like he's starting to break, and then you see him kind of go back into the cocky, like, oh, you almost got me, you know, like that sort of thing.
You almost had me there.
It was just,
you had me in the first half.
It was such almost like a surreal fucking scene, you know.
Yeah. Also, I'm over the Jimmy Woo card trick now. I need to figure out Joker's card trick, how he just pulls the card out from his mouth like that.
Oh yeah.
I still haven't mastered the Jimmy Woo card trick, but
the Joker card trick is superior.
Yes, the Joker card trick is absolutely superior. You don't see it at all. You don't see it, and then all of a sudden I'm like trying to think like based off of what I was learning from the Jimmy Woo card trick. I'm like, okay, so how does that work? But
that's funny.
That's a side note.
I think Husky pretty much summed that up perfectly. Actually, that's my thought on the thing too. Jared Leto got his redemption. I fully elevate him to the pantheon of Jokers, the top tier.
Absolutely. I would say it just makes me want more Batfleck and Jared Leto Joker.
Yeah.
I want more of that. I want to see flashback scenes of Joker killing the Boy Wonder.
That was
as dark as that might be. I want to see that.
That apparently was something we were supposed to get in either Justice League 2 or 3, along with the killing of Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn, yeah.
Okay. And now,
like,
what was it? It was supposed to be Dick Grayson, right? Dick Grayson was actually supposed to be the one that dies.
Yep, it's Dick. It's not Todd. Yeah, because the way that Zach wanted to set it up was that eventually down the line it would be Carrie Kelly taking up the mantle, not someone else. So he and Zach said it said it in so many different times. He's a huge fan of the Dark Knight Returns books by Frank Miller.
Okay,
those are such good books.
It is, but it makes sense though. You look at the ending of the movie. Batfleck is standing on the War Machine with the mutants in front of him tied up.
Yep.
That's straight from fucking, those books. The fight between Batman and Superman, straight from those books. Like, it's
the costume alone is straight from the Dark Knight Returns. The big burly buff Batman with the fat symbol on his chest. Like,
it's the older, broken, beaten up. The only thing is it's not that much older in our version.
Yeah.
But still, like, the older, wiser kind of, like, I've been doing this for a fucking long time guy,
Well, it goes back to that line in the Snydercut where he's like, fighting crime in Gotham for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So he's seasoned. He's salty.
Yes. I just want more.
Yeah, absolutely.
More Batfleck, more Jared Leto Joker, more Darkseid, all of it.
For
Darkseid.
this man for Darkseid. Man. Let's see. I'm trying to rack my brain because there really was so much to digest with this movie. Even going back to like the history lesson. Like, man, that was just so wild. Like seeing Zeus and Ares, Artemis, fucking what was his name? Yalin, the Green Lantern. Yeah, Yalin Gur. That was just so fucking wild to see that like come to play. Like when I saw a fucking lantern, I was like, "Yo, let's fucking go!"
Yeah, I was excited. I was hyped.
I just thought of something. Thinking back to like an hour ago when we were talking about potential things this could set up. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot of people asking is I can't think of her name now. I think it's Anna Duvernay. What do I think? Anna Duvernay. There we go. She's the one who's doing the New Gods movie. That's been taking a while to fucking get around to. And there's a lot of people now asking her, are you going to use the voice actors for Steppenwolf, Desaad, and Darkseid? And now there's fans asking, can you please make that movie about why is Steppenwolf kind of at odds? Like, why is he shunned?
Yeah. That would
Yeah,
be a great
that I would really like to see.
That would be huge.
Because, like, I mean, did Zack Snyder ever come out saying like what the actual story behind that was, or?
From what I've seen, no. The only real thing that I've seen that
Wow.
Zack has come out with to talk about is the fact of the reason why Superman kind of like is like okay with Lois and everything is because you see him earlier kind of scanning everyone. And
Mhm.
apparently in that scene, like in that entire thing, he's just kind of scanning people, and he scans Lois and sees like a kryptonite baby, like Kryptonian baby growing in her,
Mhm.
and that's why he doesn't kill her, and he just kind of like relaxes.
Wow.
Like that, Zach came out and said, like straight up said that on a podcast somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
it was on
okay.
it was on Kevin Smith's podcast actually.
So from what I heard, or from what I read, supposedly there was supposed to be a romance between Bruce and Lois, and
In the very
and-
first,
the child was actually Bruce's.
so there's two different ones where the child is Bruce and the child isn't.
Okay.
There was a lot of stuff like this was a very early concept thing, and WB shot it down immediately. And Zach, I think, has even said like he kind of, it was just a thing that he thought of. But I mean, like, it's one of those things. Like, there's literally a Superman comic book cover that says, "Who gets to kiss Lois now?" And it's like a line of like the Justice League like trying to kiss Lois. Like, there's a
Interesting.
lot of old comics, bro, that like they hit on a lot of this stuff that like people are just like, "Oh, that's not my Superman," and it's like, actually,
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. If you read Volume 3, issue number blah 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 blah.
like one of the ones I remember is someone saying about like, "Oh, my Superman doesn't kill Zod." That's the biggest atrocity that's happened in a comic book movie. And I literally sent the guy a freaking scene from the original Christopher Reeve Superman where he throws Zod down a well and kills him.
Yep.
Mm.
Or like down like a hole and kills him. And it's like, you sure about that there, boss? And
Yeah.
he removed the tweet after I sent that. And I was like, yeah, I like it. Like, yeah, of course. Like,
Yeah. Which Husky was happy to hear that I finally watched Man of Steel just a few nights ago. Because it was up until this point I had not seen Man of Steel.
Movie they kickstarted
which-
it all.
Yeah, and which is kind of asinine considering I've watched literally every other movie after the fact.
Well,
But I just never got around to it, and I was like, I remember like the Martian Manhunter, which we haven't touched on yet. Martian Manhunter, that scene that was I remember before Justice League even came out. I remember hearing about that, how that was supposed to be in the movie, and when I saw it, I was like, wait, what? But finally seeing that character and having more understanding of that in the Snydercut, like why is that guy even there? What's his connection to Lois? And then finally I realized after watching Man of Steel, oh, okay, that makes sense. Also, one little thing that I noticed was when they're bringing Superman's body to the ship to resurrect him, there's that scene where Flash looks over at like the corpse in that little container or whatever, and there's the hand swipe from Man of Steel. The consistency is there. I was like, this is what we want to see. These
Right,
little
same thing.
subtleties.
Same thing with the scene where Cyborg's reliving the mother box activating on him. If you look in the background, you see Silas and he reaches for the camera, and in the cameo that they have in Batman vs Superman, it's the same thing. Like it's like so Zach's always done very well with that sort of stuff, man. And it's that sort of like continuity and little things that you gotta applaud.
Yeah. One thing I liked too was during the resurrection of Superman, you see that. So I can't remember if they touched on it in the Snyder Cut, because I think each time I went to go watch it, something happened when they were doing the like exposition part of, you know, coming up with a plan to resurrect Superman. But I do remember it being in the Justice League where they mention, all right, Flash, you gotta awaken the mother box like right before it hits the liquid.
Yeah, they don't say that exactly in this one. It's more so Barry's explaining, I can create a charge that'll awaken the mother box. It's just stuff gets funky with time when I approach that much speed, and it's a rule that I don't break, but I'll do it this time.
It sets
that
up the ending of the movie.
Yeah. So that having, you know, what I remember from the Justice League with that in mind, that scene where the mother box breaches the surface of the water I'm just gonna call it water. It breaches the surface of the water, and then you see it come back up. I'm like, oh, this is gonna come into play later on. This is gonna come into play later on, and I fucking love it. That's one of the things I've always loved about speedsters in general, the ability to actually like time travel, because you're going so fucking fast that time is now at your will. And then boom, you see it come to fruition at the very end when, hey, guess what? Steppenwolf actually won. He actually beat them.
Yeah.
And Flash was like, nah, bitch, I'ma fucking make my own future. And then literally at his very feet, recreating the Earth before it even disappeared. I was like, dude, this is fucking amazing. Oh, I absolutely love that scene.
Although I will take a step back and say Steppenwolf's not the one that won. The parademon that made that Kobe sniper shot from like 300 meters away.
Okay.
Is the MVP.
Yeah, you're right.
He's the one that won.
He's a real
You're
MVP.
You're right.
Like, Kobe. Knocked the Flash off course, so that's why they won.
Yeah.
Random parademon number 6.
Parademon number 6. You
He wins.
The realist.
Immediately gets shot in the head by Affleck afterwards.
Yes,
dude,
but he won.
Dude, Batman on the fucking like the turrets or whatever. I kind of low key wanted like a little hilarious moment where he just like kind of salutes over like like, yeah. I don't know why that like played in my head that way, but I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome.
That's funny.
But the again, going back to what we were talking about, like all the slow motion in the movie, the fact that they like did that slow motion shot of like everyone coming back from that explosion at the end, like even seeing Superman of all fucking people being obliterated like that.
Yeah.
Like holy shit, dude. It was so it's
beautiful.
I kind of want to.
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of just want to go back and just watch the ending of that movie now. Like, mainly because I think mainly because I've seen like the whole first 75%, like technically like 5 times, because I've had to restart it and then watch it again because Lydia was like, oh wait, what happened here? Because yes, I will say this, I've watched a rated R movie with my daughter because she loves Wonder Woman, she loves Aquaman, she deserves to watch it. Okay.
Early exposition.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I think I've talked at length about this with Husky, to where as long as you explain shit properly, they understand. Like, it's a movie. Yep. You don't do or say the shit that they do in the movie. All right. This is just for entertainment. If they drop an F-bomb or something like that, it's for creative expression. Okay. And they're adults. They can do that. So that's my 2 cents on that one. But yeah, no. So I'm gonna need to watch the ending again a couple times just to keep it all on track.
I think I may just watch the whole movie again tomorrow.
Yeah,
agreed.
I would if I could, but I got work. Fuck.
Me too, but you know, that never stopped me.
I wish I worked in a place that actually just like had a TV in the background, so I could just like throw it up on the TV while I work.
Yeah.
Man, that would be the bee's knees.
That'd be the dream right there.
Yeah. That's why growing up, I always envied people that worked at like the vape shop, because they always had like dozens of TVs and shit in all the vape shops I went to, and they like one TV was just dedicated to Netflix. And they just throw a movie on there.
That's like a staple for every vape shop. It was just There's somebody had Netflix on all the time, and
Yeah.
somebody got to control what they were watching. It was always like a movie, or they were binge watching some show.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever went to that. I know we're getting like off topic real quick, but I don't know if you ever went to that one vape shop off of 301. Like going north on 301, just before like the Thai restaurant and the cigar shop.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah, that was the one that I used to go to all the fucking time.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I remember staying there for like the first half of John Wick when he came out. Oh man. But yeah, so that's our talk on Snydercut. Do you guys have any other points you wanted to jab at?
Watch the Snydercut. Restore the Snyderverse.
Yes, if you haven't watched the Snydercut at this point and you're still here, go watch the Snydercut. And if you missed the first one, there's your fucking spoiler alert. We just spoiled the shit out of it.
Yep. Your fault.
But
If
yeah,
you're this far into the show and you haven't watched the movie and you didn't pause to go watch it from how much we're hyping this up, you may need to rethink your life decisions.
Yeah, but I think that will close out today's episode. Thank you everyone that stopped by. Thank you Butch for the resub, 7 months. It's fucking insane. I love you, man. But we're gonna close out this episode and join us again next week. Me and Jagger are gonna be breaking down episodes 1 and 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
And it's gonna be hefty.
So far, episode 1 is already out. There's already so much information, so we're gonna try and grab all the information we can from that, and then episode 2, dissect that, and then hopefully we have a fun episode for you guys next week. Husky, thank you again for joining us. I appreciate you. I love you. Even though you are DC.
No, I'm back on. Surprised you guys are keeping letting me on here, so.
Well, we love you, man. But all right, and YouTube, good night. Twitch, stick around because we might jump into some video games here.
Subscribe and hit the bell. Subscribe and hit the bell.
Subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube, man. You know what? You live your life. You live your life. If you like this face, if you like that face over there, subscribe, hit that bell. We'll have a good time.
Hit the bell for Dark Side.
Hit the bell for Dark Side. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.